Hi, welcome to ProjectArt Online. My name is Chemin Hsiao. I'm a visual artist teaching for the ProjectArt in New York City. Welcome to the class. And just for your information, this is the end product we're aiming for, and hopefully by the end of the class you will have this beautiful Koi Nobori Flag hanging at your house. It's a blessing. So in today's session, I would like to introduce you about this project Koi Nobori Flag. It's translated as car flag. So at the end of the session, I wish all of you can have something like this. It's a Koi Nobori symbolized way of the flag. If you have a fan, you can lean on it and let the wind blow through the wind socket, so you will have that floating exactly like the old Japanese tradition. Okay, and we move on to what are the materials you will require for this project. So I'll go through them one by one. The first things first, you will need a core of the tissue roll that you usually have in your toilet, and I will display that later so you can see clearly what I'm talking about. And papers, for instance, construction paper or tissue paper or just regular white papers at home that you can find. And there are alternatives. You will see me listed on the side of it. So if you don't have construction paper, just find any magazine that you don't need that you can cut through. Then any kind of magazine, a furniture magazine, a fashion magazine at home, just ask from your parents if they have some. For tissue paper, if you have newspaper at home, and try to see through, and they are the reason we will be having construction paper or tissue paper is simply because that tissue paper are lighter. We're gonna use that for specific purposes, but if you don't have tissue paper, you don't have newspaper, any construction paper and magazine will work as well. And if you don't even have construction paper, you can even use the regular white paper, as we can all pen through then, right? We can pen color onto the white paper. So any of this, if you can find any in your home, it's good. And for drawing supplies, actually it's not really required. Them you don't need to have them, but pencil in case you need to design something, and for the marker, color pencil, ballpoint pen in case you wanted to color something. But you don't really need that in this process. We can actually use all paper and pasting through the whole project without using any drawing supplies. And scissors and a ruler. Sometimes if you want something straightforward, you don't want it to be quirky, you want it to be straight, so you use ruler. And for gluing part, please, if you can find a Hermes glue, much more prefer, because it's stronger and a little bit better to attach items. But if you only can find glue stick, that's also fine as well. Just that it takes a bit more time for you to paste things on top of each other. And for clear tape, you just need a few. Just some securing purposes, we're gonna need clear tape. And the thread or string or rubber band, any of this will work as long as you have some. And just find one disposable, the chopstick, and that's all you need. After the introduction of materials, and this part we'll really start making the body of the Koi Nobori flag. But before we really dive into really making it, I would like to introduce you a little bit about color. I would like you to see, I always let my students know this is pretty important but also very easy, that I always ask them what are the three primary color that makes up every little thing we saw in the world. That is red, blue, and yellow. Okay, and the next question I usually ask them is what are the colors if I mix this two, and this two? And that is the answer. If you mix red and blue, you would have purple. If you mix red and yellow, you will have orange. If you mix yellow and blue, you would have green. Okay, so that's just a quick way to know that this is the easiest way to map out what we call color wheel. And if I were to draw a line in here, want you to know from your mind that this part is warmer. They are called warm color, and this part is cooler. So when you make your own carfish, when you design and think about the next step, I want you to take consideration into, do you want your fish to look warmer, or do you want them to look cooler? Or if you choose, I want it to be so colorful that includes everything. Just keep that in mind. Okay, then we're gonna dive into really making the body of it in our next step. So in this part, by the previous color introduction, you probably already know that my carfish are warm color. They are formed by red, orange, pink, and yellow. So there, I designed my carfish. I want it to be warm. Okay, that's just a quick update. And on the screen right now, you can see my desk, and those are the little things that you need in this process. Forget about the chopstick, you don't need it now. However, this is the major part. So I believe all of us have this at home, like you always discard it when you don't use it all the tissue paper, right? So this is the things left, and we're gonna use that as the major wind socket for the wind to blow through. Okay, so the very first step I would like you to do is you're gonna go through the papers that you have. In this case, I have my construction paper. Okay, and I want you to form the first overall wrap of the body. So you will see that my fish, the carfish, my wrap, it's yellow because I want it to be the base of all my colors so that it's wrapping it up. So what you're gonna do is that, for instance, you're gonna take a piece of construction paper and you just if you have a full piece of paper, you're gonna just put it, and you have your pencil like this, and you just quickly give it a little hint right there, and you know, oh, that's about the width of it. But I already map out and cut that part here, so actually it's quite easy. So I already have this length, so all I need to do is just roll it, wrap it around, and until it hits the end. And I know that's about how much I need to wrap around that tape, wrap around that paper. So I just quickly gonna cut it. It doesn't have to be perfect, and just like this. And what you need to do is you simply use your glue and apply that. Apply that, and you roll it through. Obviously, the more you can have, the better, but it's not, you don't really need a lot to let it attach. And the thing about using glue, I want you to all to be a little bit patient, that it really requires a little bit more time simply to allow the glue to set in place. And this is a time when your clear tape that come in handy. You don't really need to have it at this moment, but if you have, that's perfect. So you see, every time I apply a glue, I would kind of, in my mind, I would recite like 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And it's almost like this. You will see it's quite steady. So you have it here. Perfect. So in this case, you're gonna decide how large your scale is. So the fish scale, if you don't know what I'm talking about. So for me, I just wanted to organically simply tell myself that, oh, this is probably the width I want. You see, I put all 3 colors together because I want them to be the same, but you don't have to do that. It's like you can decide whether you want all the fish scale to be the same or not, but in this case I want mine to have the same width. And the next thing I want to decide is how large is the scale. So I'm gonna fold it. Like, do you want it to be this large? Or do you want it to be smaller? It's really up to you. So let me, in the beginning I always test myself. So I'm gonna, let me cut this and see how it goes first. So you see every color I got focus on of them. And once I have it, I'll display it and move it to their own group, so I know, oh, how many I got. Okay. That and that. So each one of them, I have 4 of them. And if I want it to be this big, the next thing is I'm gonna put it all together and cut my scale accordingly. And don't worry if it's not perfect, don't worry about it. It's really not about we are making a perfect one that's assemble each other. So that's all we have. So you see I have 4 of the scales like that. And that's your aiming for, what you're aiming for. Okay, again, if let's go into account if you have if you can find construction paper. That's the part I want to specifically point out. Find a magazine like this, any kind of magazine you can find at home, and you see when I look at this, I see this is the pink that I might want. So I'm gonna simply cut it off, and knowing that I can use it. Okay? Those are the color that would help me be that. So you see what I mean? And the next thing is I find as many color that kind of look the same like this. So for instance, right now, let me see, like that. On your screen probably it doesn't look like a pink, but for me it's actually a very light pink. How about like that? That little purplish thing almost looks like this. So you see I'm matching it according to my mind. Obviously if I don't have those, I can only use my mind deciding, oh, that's probably the red I need. So I'm gonna cut that. And don't worry if your magazine paper is not completely flat or plain. It's okay, because those beautiful patterns is actually what's interesting. So you don't need to worry about that. Then the same thing, you're gonna fold it accordingly, and you're gonna form almost the same scale. And as I mentioned before, you don't need to worry if the scale it's not even, it's okay. So you see I'm using the same way to make the fish scale, but in a different flavor. That depends on what kind of material you have actually. So in this case, I have the collage paper, and this is how I made my little scales. And don't worry if the scale is not really the same. The more you do, you will notice that as long as you have your own aesthetic, your own way of building, you don't need to really worry about if the scale is really consistent. You see, actually, right now when I look at this beautiful magazine paper scale, I like it already. Okay, so like that. So you're gonna, whether to choose, you're gonna use construction paper, or if you can find magazine at home, you can achieve the same quality for the carved fish. Okay, so the next step, you're gonna take back your body, and this part is very kind of slow, but you enjoy it. I wish you can just enjoy it. It's almost like you're building a house. So for yourself, for instance, you're gonna pace accordingly. So the only thing I wanted to suggest that you pace it from the tail. So you're gonna use this side point down, like this side down, and you're gonna pace it from bottom, because you want to build your scale up all the way up. This way you have it layered correctly. So let me do a few ones. So at this moment, you should already finish the wrap up of all the fish scales, just like that. Okay, and you will notice that I purposefully leave the frontal yellow part standing out. The reason of that is obviously I want the fish head to be visible and have that the eye has a place to be, and it could be standing out. But some people, they're actually, I don't mind if you cover them all. It's totally up to you. If you wanted to cover them all and later on put your eye on top of the scale, that's totally fine. It's really up to you. But for me, I like the way that the head part is distant away from the real scale itself, so that it's almost like that's the head part, that is the part for the scale and body. Okay, so this part specifically we will be dealing with the tail. So this is the part we mentioned when I mentioned about having tissue paper on your side. But I understand that we're all at home. It's not possible. It's possible that you don't have those materials. So alternatively, you can still use your construction paper, or you can use just regular white piece of paper, and you can use your marker to paint on it and create that kind of the tail surface, which we're about to do. And also you can have alternative like the tissue paper here. It's newspaper obviously, but it has the same quality like the tissue paper. That's very light compared to the regular the construction paper itself. But either one of this will work. I just want you to know that. Okay, so for instance, in this further steps, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna use the construction paper first. So you can see from the tail that I did previously, I basically create so many different overlapping of different kind of paper texture on every single one layer of it. And you can see how I created this way. And really up to you. It could be organic. If you want yours to be constantly the same length and constantly the same width, it's really up to you. For instance, my first one, I usually do it very organically. I just like how the variety comes out. So if you like to do it in my own way, you can easily just go with it. You just have so many different. Some of you have it shorter, some of you have it longer. But the way to create that variety, I'm just simply giving it a few cuts to create this kind of sharp angles and sharp dividing between the two. And the more I create it, it creates different look. Okay, some longer, some shorter. If you can look carefully, some longer, some shorter, or you can keep it all the same. And the way to create a layering is that some of it, there are two actions you can do about it. You can fold it to give it, you see, something like folding up, so you kind of tilt it up. And the other way is you can roll it. I used to tell my students almost like rolling a paper roll, and you just delicately roll it forward a little bit, give it a few roll, and you will see it like curve up a little bit like that. So those things are what you can do. So every single strip that I cut, I would apply that, and I'm gonna use a glue again, or using our glue, and just glue a little bit on the back like that. And you're gonna go within the later part of the carfish, and you're gonna simply paste it within there, okay, like that, so you can see it. So you have this one, and I displaying that. You have your carfish. This one is from the class. This one is the example. So hopefully you enjoy it, and looking forward to see your project finished. So by far you surely completed your carfish flag. I hope you enjoy the process. Hopefully one day I can see your project, the finished product as well. Thank you for joining us today, and if you post anything on your social media, please find us at ProjectArt USA and hashtag us ProjectArt Online. And this way, hopefully, I could also get to see yours as well, just to show off my little final product, and hopefully I should get to see yours very soon as well. And thank you. Bye bye.